Next stop, Chicago Junction.
Welcome to the new year for Chicago Junction. Designed for your journey to the amazing world of railroading, both real and in model form. I'm your announcer, Brian Ballou, and here's our boss, the head of Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network and Chief Electrical Engineer, Mr. John DeVita.
Well, thank you very much, Bri. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another broadcast of Chicago Junction from the John DeVita Broadcast Center on the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network on Valentine's Day. Hey! February the 14th, the year 2024. And I'll tell you, gentlemen, in 1966, I gave my sweetheart the ring. So this is a special day for me. I got engaged February the 14th, 1966. Oh my God. Today, the panel will be talking about railroads and model railroads. And now to start today's broadcast, here's our announcer, Mr. Brian.
Oh, thank you, John. Now for our... Well, let's see. The whole gang is here. I am your announcer and supposed ringleader, Brian Ballou, and I love trains. I work on steam locomotives, belong to several museums, play with my Lionel, and also work with the large-scale and garden railroading. And I have Doug Kenyuk here.
Yep. Hello, everybody. Name is Doug Kenyuk. I'm an officer in the Railroad and Short Lines Club of Chicago, which meets every third Friday at Union Station. If you're interested, go out to the website, rscc.dhke.com. Longtime N-scaler, longtime rail fan, and I'm also adjunct professor at Wilbur Wright College. So without further don't, we'll see if the ringleader has something to go, or he'll let me talk for a while.
I'll let you talk first.
All right. Well, I got a bunch of great stories. Hopefully this is all being recorded. All right, first one up. FRA solicits input on proposed self-propelled railcar test program. We brought this up last year where they were talking about making the freight cars self-propelled with electric motors and batteries. Says the Federal Railroad Administration is seeking public comments on the proposal from two short lines that want to test parallel system self-propelled zero-emission battery electric rail vehicles. In August of 2023, Georgia Central Railway and the Heart of Georgia, which by the way their call letters are HOG, H-O-G. It is.
Yeah.
Petitioned the FRA to allow them to test the program and its associated computer and telemetry technology system. The goal of the technology is to provide short lines a way to compete with the short-haul transportation of containers, according to the FRA decision published in the Federal Register. The pilot test program would require a waiver from certain federal rail safety regulations. The FRA announced yesterday that it will accept written views, data, or comments related to proposed program, the temporary waiver of regulations, or both. The FRA is holding a hearing on the application at a later date. Public comments on the program are due by March 18th. So, I thought some desert railroad or railroad out west deal between the Mississippi and Rockies would do this. Here we are in the middle of Georgia, in the middle of a populated area, and they're going to test self-automated rail cars. Nice going, guys. Makes perfect sense. Let's go test it in the New York subway while we're at it. Here's one. Now, this headline is misleading, and you'll see why when I read the story.
Right.
Caltran marks 160 years of passenger rail service. See what I mean by misleading? Okay. Caltrain officials this week marked the 160th anniversary of passenger rail service operating between San Francisco and San Jose, California. The creation of the rail corridor, which has been in constant use for the past 16 decades, was central to the development of the San Francisco Peninsula and South Bay. Most cities located along the corridor built their downtown around the railroad, allowing communities to form and grow together. Accessible transportation led to economic prosperity, blah, blah, blah. Depending on the weather, traveling via stagecoach would have taken 8 hours to up to 3 days to reach either destination. The idea of creating a rail line between two cities first came up in 1851 when San Jose was still California's capital city. After 3 failed attempts to obtain funding, the San Francisco and San Jose Railroad incorporated in 1860. Construction began in 1861 at San Francisco Creek, long name, looks like Frisco and Mosquito combined, and regular service from San Francisco to Mayfair, now the California Avenue Station, began in 1863. With San Jose-bound passengers transferring to stagecoach for the remainder of the journey. The line was completed in 1864. That's it. Like I said, misleading. Caltrain, I don't think was formed until like the 60s or 70s. Yeah. It's nice of them to take credit. Well, look what those guys did. By the way, we did it too. DOS Technologies. You're going to like this one. Duos, D-U-O-S. I think that's Duos. A provider of machine vision and artificial intelligence solutions for rail and trucks, has reported that its rail car inspection portal technology last year performed more than 8.5 million comprehensive rail car scans on more than 665,000 unique rail cars. The metrics encompass all cars scanned at locations across the U.S., Canada, and Mexico, representing about 40% of the total freight car population in North America. Duos recently formalized a long-term partnership with a major Class 1 to develop AI solutions to streamline detection of mechanical railcar defects. So they've been quietly cataloging all the freight cars. Could have just asked the railroads, hey, give me a list of your freight cars. This one's interesting. FRA shuts down Oklahoma Railroad. I don't know if you heard about this. The FRA, Federal Railroad Administration, has ordered the Blackwell Northern Gateway Railroad to shut down due to short lines operations imposing an imminent threat to public safety. The FRA issued an emergency order requiring the BNGR to discontinue operation of all trains, locomotives, and other on-track rail vehicles or equipment under any circumstances over track that the railroad leases or owns, including the rail line extending from Wellington, Kansas to Blackwell, Oklahoma. The short line cannot resume operation until it complies with all requirements of the FRA emergency order. Issuance of the emergency order is extremely rare and infrequent, an FRA spokesman said in an email. The emergency order on the Blackwell Northern Gateway Railroad is only the 33rd one in FRA's history. In previous EOs have not entirely shut down the railroads, but rather have been more limited in scope. Blackwell Northern operates on about 37 miles of rail line owned by the Oklahoma Department of Transportation and the Blackwell Industrial Authority. The line extends from Blackwell, Oklahoma to Wellington, Kansas, where it interchanges with the BNSF. I'm not going to go into the rest of this. It talks about the Blackwell itself, but they do talk about why some of the things that they didn't like.
Yeah,
Okay, the FAI determined that under its current ownership, the Blackwell Northern has operated locomotives not safe for use, allowed locomotives to be operated by people not qualified as engineers, and failed to qualify any engineers or conductors under FAA regulations. Blackwell Northern has maintained no records of track safety inspection, no records of employees designated or qualified to perform track inspections, and no records that roadway workers have been trained to use roadway maintenance machines or perform safety essential functions in accordance with FRA regulations. I'm not done. I got another 5 paragraphs to go. The short line failed to report two derailments, according to the FRA. In both cases, the person operating the derailed train was not qualified as an engineer. And in at least one instance, the locomotive was several years past inspection. The FRA also discovered people not employed by the railroad and with no qualifications were allowed to operate the trains. I missed my chance. Moreover, there is evidence that Blackwell Northern employees have been directed by Blackwell Northern ownership to provide FRA false information, including false engineer certification cards and false hours of service records. Blackwell Northern has created a public safety emergency through a willful failure to undertake basic responsibilities such as track inspection and training for safety-related railroad employees in combination with deliberate actions of one or more individuals, the order continues. Additionally, the FRA determined that the co-owner and the most senior person located at the railroad has personally operated locomotives and trains on the line without required training, leading to derailments and providing false information to the FRA. Evidence also shows that this individual has directed employees to act in ways that are unsafe and wholly contrary to safety culture railroad employees expect, and required to do their jobs properly, including directions to put locomotives into service not fit for use and prepare false HOS records. What's HOS?
Holes?
Yeah, no, but it's an abbreviation. False HOS records. I have no idea. The railroad hasn't provided the FRA with a written program of operational tests and inspections per FRA regulations. On January 17th, the FRA found no program for track inspection in compliance with FRA safety regulations and no inspection records since the railroad came under current ownership in October of 2023. After that finding, the Blackwell Northern manager told the FRA that all track over which the short line operates would be taken out of service in accordance with the FRA document. But on January 28th, witnesses reported that on-track high-rail vehicle nearly collided with a highway passenger vehicle at grade crossing over which the Blackwell Northern line near Blackwell. This incident demonstrates a cascade of failures to protect life and safety by the railroad, as the grade crossing signal system was not activated, no flagger was provided, and the high-rail vehicle made no effort to stop and yield to the right-of-way of vehicular traffic, the FRA order states. The pattern of gross negligence and willful failures to comply with federal safety regulations in multiple functional areas, including track safety, locomotive engineer qualification and certification, operating practices, and roadway worker safety, persuaded the FRA that reliance alone upon assurances and cooperation of Blackwell Northern Railroad is not possible and inconsistent with public safety. The railroad may not resume operation until it takes corrective action. I told you, I had a regular laundry list of problems here.
Oh, wow.
I missed my chance to run the train.
You were sitting there and figuring holes, you know?
Yeah.
Hell of a lot of errors.
Yep. So it's somebody there thought, well, who's going to check? How many railroad inspectors are there? It's like, what, 12 for the whole country?
Something like that.
Yeah. So how many of them are actually going to go look at a short line until somebody complains? It's like City of Chicago. Building inspectors won't come to your house unless somebody complains. You could put 5 stories on your house. If nobody complains, the city doesn't care. But as soon as you start and you got one of those crazy neighbors, they're all over the place. So it's the same thing here. So what triggered them to be investigated is what I got interested in. How did they find out these guys are that bad when I know there's other railroads that are probably worse?
And they did, and they got the Roberts.
Yeah. Okay, next one. Hyperloop. Remember that?
Yeah.
Elon Musk, yes. Hyperloop Transportation Technologies, a licensing company focused on realizing the Hyperloop, has been designated the technology provider within a joint venture of Italian-based industry companies WeBuild and Leonardo. The joint venture will study the feasibility of a Hyperloop operating to carry cargo and passengers. When completed, the effort could lead to construction of the world's first Hyperloop system in Italy. In June of 2023, Hyperloop TT-powered consortium called Hyperbuilders won a successful bid on a tender issued by the Venetian Motorway Concession, Italy's regional highway operator, which calls for a Hyperloop prototype on a section between Venice, Mestre, and Padula, Italy. The Italians are going to build a Hyperloop first. Hope it connects to what's about of you.
Yeah. Oh yeah, make Bullwinkle's trip easier.
Yep. Now I got two stories followed by a third one. These two says what could possibly go wrong, and the third story tells you. NYCT, New York City Transit Authority, launches WhatsApp Rider Communication Initiative. The Metropolitan Transit Authority formally launched a new initiative that will allow subway riders to communicate with New York City transit representatives in real time using the messaging platform WhatsApp. WhatsApp will expand the number of customer service channels available to the system riders and is expected to improve NYCT's communications with riders who don't speak English, said the officials. By using Google Translate, personnel from NYCT Digital's communications unit will be able to interact with riders without service changes, about service changes, or other matters in 108 languages. The MTA first introduced the program in August and has been working to improve its internal processes associated with its launch in the months since. Since August, NYCT has received approximately 4,000 messages from New Yorkers via WhatsApp, nearly 10% of the total incoming volumes from other social media channels. Now, they carry what, about 1 million writers a day? Imagine if all millions sent a message. Yeah. You see why I found that as an interesting story.
Yes,
Sounds
yes.
good. Until you start, well, wait a minute now, there's this many writers, and there's this many people with cell phones, and there's this many people on WhatsApp, and New Jersey Transit launches an app to track rail ridership levels. New Jersey Transit last week launched a new feature on its Departure Vision mobile application that enables riders to see how full a train is before you board. The new feature enables riders to make informed decisions and practice social distancing as they return to using the system. New Jersey Transit officials said in a press release, the feature displays a train with a green, yellow, or red color-coded icons to indicate light, medium, or heavy ridership conditions. On the Raritan Valley, Atlantic City, and Morrison exit lines, the data is collected automatically from New Jersey Transit train crews when they scan and validate tickets using their handheld devices. For other rail lines, the app will rely on riders voluntarily inputting data to alert fellow riders how full the train is. Crowdsourcing will be phased out gradually as the train crews on additional rail lines receive the new handheld devices. Now, the part I focused in on was the riders voluntarily, right? I could see 2 or 3 people sending in multiple messages saying, my God, the car is loaded, and you get on, there's like 5 people, and they have the whole rail car to themselves because they fooled the system into thinking it's full.
Oh yeah.
So that's
it's Morrison Essex line.
Yeah. So that's story number 2. Now here's the consequences of all this electronics.
Yes.
Hackers target Sacramento Transit Agency. The Sacramento Regional Transit District recently experienced a cyber attack that erased key pieces of data from the agency's computer. The San Francisco Bee reported the hack last weekend, I don't have the date here, erased certain components of the computer programs that affected internal operations, such as the ability to use computers to dispatch employees, according to the newspaper. Although SAC-RT took its website offline, bus and rail service hasn't been affected. The hacker has been threatened to do more damage if the agency doesn't pay a ransom of 1 Bitcoin. Now, I think this was about 2 years ago this might have happened because they said that Bitcoin was only worth 8,000. It's 43,000 as of this morning. SAC-RT hasn't responded to the hacker's demand. SAC-RT was a victim of cyber ransom attack over the weekend. Network damage was limited. No personal data was compromised, blah, 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 blah. This is exactly what happened to the Children's Hospital. They had ransomware. My guys tell me it's ransomware, period. That's why Curry's offline. I got another one in what happened in Poland and Germany. Siemens launches a new division to digitalize the U.S. rail network. They go, should talk to those other guys who already did it. Siemens launched a new business that will use sensors and software platforms to help improve rail operations. Known as Siemens Digital Rail Services, a new business unit aims to put intelligence behind billions of data points on the country's rail system. Gee, I thought that was called dispatchers, but excuse me. Insights gathered from the data are expected to help U.S. rail operators improve operations and create an Internet of Trains to bring infrastructure and vehicles into the digital era, according to Siemens. The business unit is part of the Siemens Mobility Division, blah, blah, blah. The city of Atlanta and the Charlotte area transit system are among the first transportation providers to work with Siemens to use big data to improve operations and safety. In Atlanta, Siemens Digital Services team will collect information captured via onboard systems from the Atlanta streetcar and analyze data points to make the best use of the fleet. Meanwhile, Charlotte Area Transit is working with Siemens on a pilot program for near real-time diagnostics and analytics of its light rail system. Data is expected to help the agency make prescriptive maintenance recommendation. Not sure what prescriptive does, but today rail vehicles send between 1 billion and 4 billion data points per year, and the rail infrastructure can send billions of messages just inside a Pacific system. Our digital data services business we're taking not only experience from the global rail footprint, but also from our extensive company-wide digital experience to turn billions of data points into action. So they're going to digitalize collect data, and who knows what they're going to do with it. You'll like this one. DART technology in Alaska. The Alaska Railroad Corporation and the Alaska Department of Transportation and Public Facilities demonstrated that drones can be used in avalanche mitigation efforts after it successfully deployed and detonated 2 CIL explosives on an unmanned aerial system, UAS. The detonations triggered 2 man-made slides to protect transportation infrastructure, according to a report from local First Media. The report shows that the tests were conducted in January and build off a foundation of prior technological advancements and collaborative efforts in avalanche mitigation, according to reports from the U.S. Department of Transportation, Washington State Department of Transportation, and the work of Mountain Drones, which demonstrated the feasibility of using a heavy lift UAS drone platform to drop a single explosive round for avalanche control. The drone's amplified drone avalanche reduction technology, hence the phrase DART, have regulatory challenges to contend with, particularly due to the FAA requirements for carriage of dangerous weapons. Timothy Glathic of Alaska DOT said the demonstration represents a significant step forward avalanche risk reduction for our public highways. The state of Alaska is moving away from military artillery as the primary means of avalanche mitigation and will adopt remote avalanche control systems, drones, which will fill the gap where RACSs are not feasible or economical.
Ah, damn! I like seeing them try to take that howitzer up there.
I know. Well, it's fun to watch that. That was interesting. Yeah. Now, here's the story you've been waiting for. North Dakota Supreme Court upholds previous dismissal of FORB lawsuit. This is the bridge. In the matter of the Brunswick-Madden rail bridge that crosses the Missouri River, the North Dakota Supreme Court upheld the previous dismissal of the Friends of the Rail Bridge lawsuit. In 2023, the nonprofit citizens group challenged a state district judge ruling in June that upheld a decision by the State Department of Water Resources in April to grant BNSF 2 sovereign land permits, the final hurdle the railroad needed to clear to launch construction. The one permit is for the removal of the current rail bridge, and the other is from construction of the new one. FORB argued that I don't know who FORB is. That BNSF could not demolish the existing rail bridge because ownership of that bridge fell under the state of North Dakota. Now, remember, that was an early story. They were fighting over that. Last September, the North Dakota Supreme Court denied Friends of the Rail Bridge, that's what FORB is, request that the court take jurisdiction over the Bismarck-Madam Rail Bridge. On November 16, FORB appeared before the North Dakota Supreme Court to argue against tearing down the 140-year-old structure. On Thursday, February 8th, the North Dakota Supreme Court dismissed the request because FORB did not request a hearing under the correct section of the state law, according to KNEX TV. Ruling unanimously, the North Dakota Supreme Court upheld the South Central District Judge Jackson's previous dismissal of the lawsuit. According to the Brunswick Tribune, BNSF spokeswoman Amy Macbeth stated that the Class 1 is pleased with the court's decision affirming the previous dismissal of FORB's challenge. Construction of the new railroad bridge is underway. When the project is complete, our new railroad bridge will safely and efficiently serve our customers in the state and throughout the country for another 100 years. This is a massive infrastructure project, privately funded and maintained, that the state's energy, agriculture, and construction industries rely on, and we're pleased with the outcome. Currently, the Class 1 has been working on construction of the new bridge. In January, it was reported that crews were working on clearing trees and other vegetation while constructing an access road to build the new bridge. So the bridge is going to get replaced. And everybody's bent out of shape about it. Better to have a new bridge than have it fall in the river.
Yes. No, they're trying to figure that they were trying to get a historic landmark for it, being 140 years old.
Yeah, they built the one next to it, like they did in Florida with the overseas bridge. It's still there. They built a new bridge next to it.
Yeah, they're building the new bridge. Well, considering the old bridge was a railroad bridge.
Yeah, well, remember at first they had
And
to figure
then
out who the hell
US1.
owned it. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Now, you've been to Germany, right?
Yes.
Okay, you'll like this story. Douchebomb cancels trains after another rail theft near Mannheim. Gets better.
Yes.
Germany's DB, Douchebomb for short, has been forced to delay and cancel a number of trains on its Frankfurt to Mannheim line after a metal theft on the railway line was discovered on Monday morning. The National Rail Operator said its technicians discovered the vandalism on a section of the line between Mannheim Station and the town of Lampertheme. I think that's how you say it. Leading to the cancellation of around 20% of the usual long-distance services on the Frankfurt route. A DB spokesman said a delay of around 20 minutes is expected for passengers. There may be occasional cancellation of long-distance trains. Our staff is on site working tirelessly to remove the disruption and expected to last until Tuesday evening. All ICE trains between Frankfurt and Stuttgart on the Berlin-Frankfurt-Stuttgart route were canceled as a result of the theft, along with the S8 trains between Biblis and Mannheim-Wardorf, highlighting the significance, the impact the crime can have on rail service. Coming up to what was stolen. According to the German press, copper theft cost the DB around 6.6 million euros in 2022 and have led to delays of thousands of trains in recent years. The theft near Mannheim comes shortly after a similar situation on February 2nd saw the delay of DB trains between Frankfurt and Cologne, and is also the second theft in recent months near Mannheim after DB reported vandalism in the area in the run-up to Christmas. The latest event would be especially unwelcome for DB, which has only recently struggled with significant limited service during a train driver strike lasting 6 days at the end of January. They're stealing the overhead wire.
Yeah. Well, they were doing that University Park line.
Yeah. A busy main line. How do you get in between trains to do that?
Night.
Yeah, I guess.
When there's no no service.
Well, they had a low service.
Hmm?
Virtually no service. There is service, but yeah. So with that in mind, Germany does it. Well, let's get the Polish involved. The Great Polish Train Hack. Rolling stock manufacturer Newag, Poland's Lower Sicilian Railway, and a group of hackers called Dragon Sucker are locked in a three-way legal argument surrounding 11 trains that somewhat mysteriously stopped working and were later repaired. Back in 2022, the rail operator in the Lower Silesia region of Poland reported that 4 of its impulse locomotives would not start and sent them for maintenance. But LSR did not send the trains back to Newag, the manufacturer. Rather, they were sent to an independent mechanics, SPS. I'm not even going to try the Polish name. During the work, SPS reported mysterious software problems which appeared to be stopping the trains from operating. See what happened? According to the Polish news publication, the issues with the 4 locomotives caused a serious problem for the rail operator and passengers. But the central issue is potentially much larger and more serious for the rail industry than delays. According to the hacker group Dragon Sector, when SPS could not solve the issue, which they had identified as a software fault, the engineer found the computer cracking experts with a Google search. Okay, locomotive doesn't work. Let's call a hacker in and see if they can fix it. In an interview with digital technology publication, Dragon Sector said that they were able to diagnose and repair the issue, which was a result of arbitrary locks put on the train's computer system. The allegation from SPS and Dragon Sector is that Newag installed so-called parts pairing code in its system, which effectively bricks the train if they are repaired or interfered with by a third party. Same argument they got now with John Deere and the cars, who owns the software and who's allowed to fix your car or Apple device or whatever. The technique is widely used in consumer tech, such as iPhones. Users who have tried to have repairs done by unlicensed engineers will know that is true. So the rest of it talks about them just fighting in court. But basically, somebody glitched, locked down the computers in the locomotives so they couldn't be used. Again, let's put some more software in there, guys. Keeps us guys in jobs.
Yeah.
Now, last story, and you'll find this one funny too. To save the coastal rail line, California needs to move it away from the ocean.
I read that story.
The nation's second busiest intercity passenger train line is partially closed again. A landslide in San Clemente has stopped rail service indefinitely between Orange and San Diego counties. The key segment of the 351-mile coastal rail corridor that runs between San Luis Obispo, Los Angeles, and San Diego. This is the 5th time in 3 years that train service has been interrupted by hillside erosion in the area, upending people's commutes, long-distance trips, and freight movements along this route. The track was closed to Amtrak's Pacific Surfliner and Metrolink trains for 6 months last year. And with climate change, coastal erosion and sea level rise, closures on the oceanside rail line are expected to become a regular occurrence. It's time for Californians and transportation officials to face the inevitable reality. Saving the coastal line means moving it away from the unstable land of the ocean's edge. State and local authorities were quick to declare a state of emergency this month, freeing up $10 million in funding to stabilize the hillside. But that's a temporary repair. Lawmakers, along with transit environment advocates, warned that the Lassen Rail Corridor, which is what it called for, it stands for Los Angeles, San Diego, San Luis Obispo, is facing an existential crisis. Ridership is down to 4 million passengers from a peak of 8 million before the pandemic, and the increasing service suspension is undermining its reliability and desirability as an alternative to driving. The line also is a crucial freight corridor, moving billions of dollars worth of goods each year, and connects military bases in the states. Making the coastal rail corridor safe and successful will not be cheap, fast, or easy. It could cost upward to $5 billion to relocate portions of the Orange County rail line inland, and $4 billion to move tracks off the eroding cliffs in the Del Mar area. There are additional track and infrastructure projects needed so trains can operate more frequently and passengers can seamlessly transfer from train to train. The work will take decades. That's why it's important to accelerate the planning and set priorities. We know the climate change will do to coastline in the coming years, and we know what needs what has to be done to ensure California doesn't lose its rail connection.
Well, yeah, San Clemente, all the way to Oceanside, right past Camp Pendleton. Yeah, yes, we're talking coast.
Well, it would make sense. I mean, I've seen
Yeah.
the pictures where it's running along the beach and stuff. And
Well, you got.
You had a question, why do you put the
I
rails
mean, when
there?
you get outside San Diego is where you have Del Mar, and yeah, that is when you come in. You're coming in. You're basically having people crossing the tracks into the wrong place.
Well, again, the original builders, they, when the railroads were initially being built, one, they were put together cheaply, and two, they used the route of least resistance. Hence, they ran along the coast, ran along the cliffs, didn't think anything of it. Now, a couple of 16 decades later, as the other article said,
Well,
Looks what's happening.
Well, look at the weather that they've had the last 2 years.
well, first it was super dry, now it's super wet, and they're complaining both ways. Can't have it both ways, guys. You want it dry? It's dry. You want it wet? It's
Hey,
wet.
you're getting more water for your reservoir, so
Yeah. And the other stuff you smoke. All right, what you got, Brian?
okay. Oh, well, I got some easy stuff. It's amazing. Short lines are disappearing.
How so?
Well, Pan American last year.
Yep, went to CSX.
Right.
They also taken over Meridian and Bigby.
Yep. And now we got Canadian National. We're going, okay, we're going to take the Iowa Northern.
Yep.
It's the latest, I like to see what Norfolk Southern's going to do with the Reading and Northern. It's bigger than it's just a short line.
Well, I've been watching the STB site, and since about last November, there's been really nothing posted about short lines, new railroads starting up, new short lines start up, and there's been nothing since January 1st. Right
Yeah.
now, they're soliciting nominations for the advisory group to Amtrak. Want your name put in?
Sure.
We'll nominate you.
Yeah, that'll be nice.
We'll nominate Dave, too. Just don't tell him until he gets the letter saying when you come into the meeting. But, yeah, there's been no activity out there on the short lines at all.
Yeah, well, the thing is, short lines have been doing their business, and a lot of people are not happy. They used to be customers of the lines that they're buying. I've already heard some complaints up in New England.
Of the short line or of the Class 1 buying the short line?
The Class 1 buying.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, service is different. Well, this is what we're going to give you.
Exactly. Somebody posted on Facebook complaining about how that B&O CT line down 16th Street that goes into, Berwyn,
Mm-hmm.
how the industry's gone. I mean, the line is dead now. There's no customers on it. Last one just quit last September. And it was once a week service because it's B&O, it's CSX. And Dave rightly pointed out, says railroads don't want the loose car stuff. They want the unit trains.
Yeah,
They don't want anything else.
That's why I don't see Blue Mountain, Reading, and Northern giving in.
Well,
I'll tell you what. No, see, they tried to get the Blue Mountain, the Reading and Blue Mountain, to change their place to where we exchange cards.
okay, the interchange point, huh?
Yeah, they did that. They tried to do that, and Mueller went after him. He took it right up to the FRA.
Yeah, there's going to be some interesting things. Like right now in Long Island,
Oh yeah, on
Town Line.
Yeah, the old Long Island Railroad.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's a group that wants to put up a transload, basically. And they'll transload anything, including garbage. and they want to put in 2 tracks for a total of about a mile. And so they formed a small railroad. Now this is on its like 3rd or 4th iteration of this thing. It was known as Brookhaven and something else and something else. I've been keeping track of this one. And right now it's called Town Line Railroad.
Okay.
And they just finally filed the environmental papers to build those 2 tracks.
Finally.
They're still not ready to go yet. They still don't have STB blessing, but they finally got to the point where you should have seen all the stuff posted, though, the letters from people say, oh, there's going to be too many trucks. I took a look on the map. There's already a zillion trucks there.
Yeah.
So how is it that instead of having the trucks come in and come out, come in, come out, come in, they're going to come in, dump their load onto a railroad car and ship it out? Any different than what's going on now, where they bring the trucks in and split it, transfer it to more trucks and send it out. You're actually going to get less trucks out of this.
Yeah.
I was reading some of the protest letters. Oh, I don't want the garbage. I don't want this. I don't want that. I looked at the property.
Well,
the property is huge. It's going to be way in the back next to the Long Island Railroad.
Well, look what Glenview did.
Oh yeah.
Here we are at Glenview. They want to put a sliding in.
Yep.
So this way they can increase passenger service.
Yep.
Was the main thing.
Yeah, and they went crazy there.
And everybody went nuts saying, oh, they're going to put freight trains on there and they're going to be stinking up the neighborhoods. And, these people, I don't know who's bankrolling them to do it. But these frivolous lawsuits, California is a good example.
Oh, yeah.
The high-speed rail.
Yep.
High-speed rail. What are they going to do? Oh, they're pissed because it's elevated. Take away from the beauty. But it's going to have all... No, it doesn't give off smoke.
It's electric, guys.
Yes, electric.
Well, look what happened
And
in
then
Barrington.
you're going to have windmills out here supplying the electricity.
Yep. Well, look what happened in Barrington during the EJ&E takeover by CN. That place is loaded with lawyers, but they lost. They ran up against something called the federal government. So they didn't get anywhere. Matter of fact, they still haven't built the overpass over there. Now, they wanted 14 to go under the tracks there.
Yeah.
It's not even on the drawing boards. It's in state of Illinois' long-range highway plan. You know what that means? Never get built.
Oh, yeah.
And they haven't straightened out the mess in Melrose Park there, where the Milwaukee Road, the old Milwaukee Road tracks cross on an angle in Grand Avenue. All they did was, if you've been out there, all they did was paint more stripes.
Yeah, they got Picasso out there.
Yeah. Hey, what else you got?
All right. Well, good news.
Yay.
Yesterday, BNSF marked the 175th anniversary of the creation of the Aurora branch.
Cool.
A 6-mile-long track between Batavia, Illinois, and West Chicago, because I could have said Batavia, Ohio. And I got a story from that for that too. The entity started with borrowed equipment and secondhand steel rail.
Yeah, the Aurora Branch Railroad.
Yep.
That's what it was called.
And
Then they get downtown, they rented track rights on Northwestern.
today,
Chicago Union.
BNSF serves 28 states in the western 2/3 of the U.S., 3 Canadian provinces, 5 Mexican gateways. The railroad's network covers 32,500 mile route. Not bad.
Yeah, they did good.
They did good. Now, unfortunately, the news coming out of Batavia, Ohio is sad. A friend of mine passed away.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
His name is Greg Scholl. He's known for his videos. Greg Scholl videos. and he chased steam. Let me tell you, he made some great looking videos. He went to Africa. He's got really good footage of the Red Devil.
Oh, cool. I'll go see if I can find it on YouTube.
Yeah. I have not gone to his website, so I don't know if his wife is, going to sell it. I know she's going to sell out.
Oh, yeah.
If they got it, they'll sell what they've got. And okay, he was 4 months older than me. But Greg was a good guy.
Hence when I say it's still above ground. There's a reason I say that.
Yeah. And it's a real shame. No, okay, well, let's see. How about good old museum news?
Shoot away.
They have pulled the Montana Western motor car out of the shed up at Mid-Continent.
Uh-huh.
It is the oldest motor rail car from EMC.
Ah, okay.
It was number 13. And still has its original Winton engine in it. They pulled it out.
Did it start?
Not yet. They're going to check it real good.
Yeah, a little WD-40, we should be fine.
Yeah. And then throw some Goo Gone on it.
Yeah.
And but they had a windfall. One thing that's nice. Here you have a motor that made in the 20s. And, where do you get your parts? They got lucky. They got a whole big donation of parts for Winton engines from Spurry when they sold off all their motor rail cars to get the more modern stuff.
Ah, okay.
So they got enough stuff that the repair the motor might not be that bad.
It's good news.
And bring in a good.
That is good news.
Bring in a good diesel man.
Yeah. Our good, nice little RDC, like they use at Strattsburg, runs up and down on the weekdays.
Oh, that little thing, boy. And still using its same Timken bearing wheels.
Yeah, I know. I see it on the YouTube, the video feed from the virtual rail fan.
Yeah.
There's a camera pointed.
Oh, I'll tell you. You know where I've been getting my good shots of virtual rail fan? The Weather Channel. No, they've been showing.
I do the same thing. I go through all the different cameras looking at the weather, seeing what's coming, and I like Flagstaff, Arizona, though. Have you watched that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, 1.5 feet of snow, and I'm like laughing my head off.
I am. I'm sitting there going,
It's Arizona, though.
Hey, I know who's on its way there now.
But the steel highways. Have you seen those?
No.
Oh, yeah. There's a bunch of cameras out. Steel highways and live trains. But Steel Highways has a camera overlooking Ogilvy Transportation Throat.
Ah.
It looks straight north. It shows you the curve, and it also shows you the line coming in off to Union Station.
Mm-hmm.
So if you watch carefully, you can see the gates go off, and you can watch Amtrak and Metra, and you can watch the trains coming into the station. Well, this guy, Bill Edwards, member of our club, they climbed up the chimney of the head house, him and this other guy, and put the camera at the top of the chimney so you can get that view.
No kidding.
He showed me the stairs on the inside. Let's put it this way. You ain't getting me to climb it. I've seen rickety stuff, but boy, those guys were like,
Whoa. Okay. Well, and one other good news finally. The Pennsy T1 they're building.
That triplex?
No, that's not a triplex. It's a duplex.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I've only seen steam engines in museums. I've never seen them in operation. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I got a nice brass one. They're building. They're finally putting the framework out.
Mm-hmm.
They've got a guy place that's going to be cutting all the metalwork for the frames.
What's the story in that CN Steam Tour?
CN Steam Tour.
Are they coming here? I think they are.
Well, it's not CN.
All right, CP.
Ah.
That one.
Yep.
CN, CP, same difference.
Well, they are going to be running with only the steam locomotive. They're starting in Calgary.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to start in April. When they come, they are going to come here, and they're going to be on this. They're going to hole up for a couple days in Bensenville Yard.
Oh, cool.
So we'll be able to go see it. They're still fighting with April and May for getting the big boy on the road.
Yeah, I read something that UP is going to do a tour with that guy.
Yeah.
But it's not coming anywhere east of the Mississippi for some reason. It's staying west of the Mississippi.
Yeah, it's staying west. It's staying in UP territory.
Of course.
And so they're doing what they call the Four Corner Tour. It will come to, when it leaves Omaha, it'll go to up through Minnesota, come down to Chicago. They are supposed to be putting it on display in West Chicago again. But then again, who knows?
Who knows, yep.
You know, not even the shadow knows.
You like that one.
He likes good references. But yeah, so that's what's going on. They have 765. She's still running with the Illinois Northeastern.
Mm-hmm.
Which is funny. They got a story in the new issue of Trains, and I'm going, hey, that was the engine that was on the other end of the passenger train pulling it back.
Yep.
Nice GP30. And, yeah, I mean, let's see what other good news I got.
While you're looking for good news, found another railroad movie. I think it was called Railroad Tigers. It's a Chinese-made movie.
Yes.
About the Chinese fighting guerrillas, the communist guerrillas fighting the Japanese in World War II on the railroad.
Yep.
A lot of railroad shots.
And Jackie Chan's in it.
Yeah, and it's got English subtitles, which I think was great.
Well, it was just like when
it was on HBO.
You know, when I saw Last Train to Busan.
Oh yeah, that's the virus
That
movie,
was,
right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's the zombie movie.
That's it, yeah. All right, so what else you got there?
Well, let's see. We've talked about this gentleman a little bit. David Tutwiler. He is a very good artist.
Mm-hmm.
This is all his train pictures.
Cool.
Oh, yeah. And did you ever shop in Hill's Hobby Shop?
Yep.
Remember he used to have 2 locomotive bells in there?
Yep.
I know who's got them now. Yeah, he wanted a picture of the Hudson and everything. And one of the bells happens to be from a Hudson. In fact, the Hudson. Lionel's Hudson.
Oh, okay.
The 53, the 5433.
Mm-hmm.
That, or 5233. That was Lionel's. That's who they used for their 700E.
Mm-hmm.
And He got both bells out of there for the painting. So they did pretty good.
What happened to those guys? I know they moved to Wheeling or something, and they disappeared.
They went to they were in Buffalo Grove.
Ah, that's it. Yeah.
They were in Buffalo Grove, and then they shut down within a month after they got there.
Yeah, because, remember Tom Thumb up in Evanston?
Yeah.
They moved to Niles. They did a Niles Industry off of Lehigh Avenue. You'd never know they're there because there's no sign. But if you go to their website, they give you the address. It took me a few minutes to find it because it's just off of Lehigh.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it's like this nondescript building, not even a sign on the door, just an address, and that's it.
Okay, we're going to write it down later.
I don't have the information but that's what I found on their website.
Well, what he did, he came up with an idea, and he's painting. Now, he's also an official Disney artist.
Mm-hmm.
And he's really got some nice stuff. But this is all non-Disney. And it talks about basically his career. And when he was going to the Art Academy in Chicago, that's where he met his wife.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah. No, she's beautiful. And his first picture was the 4449 in the American Freedom Train paint scheme. And he had it in there for the contest. Well, one of the guys from PepsiCo saw it and bought it.
Cool.
Put it in the office, and since Pepsi was sponsor to the Freedom Train, they got him on board. He and his wife literally traveled with the Freedom Train, and they were up in the cab and having a good old time.
Wow.
They were saying, now that's the dream life.
That's how it works, though. That's how these things happen.
Yeah.
Somebody knows somebody who knows somebody who sees something, said, hey, here you go.
Yeah, well, and basically it talks about him going into it, getting, how he got involved doing it with some of the people he painted for. Don Ball, before he died, he had him paint a nice story on the Pensy J. And it's beautiful. I mean, you can look, take a look. $75 for the soft cover.
Oh, yeah.
And it shows preparatory sketches.
I'm trying to make sure my fingers are not greasy. If there any reason to wear gloves, this is the book. This book is great, guys.
I got to get a hold of Mr. Tutwiler and say, we want you for an interview.
Yep. Nice.
And he shows 7 different views of what he was going to paint.
Well, it just shows very good detail and planning.
Yeah.
I'll skip a few pages here. How I produced an idea. There we go. That's what I got to do. I got to take art lessons so I can paint the backdrops on my model railroad. Here, I don't want to ruin anything.
I mean, that is
nice.
this unbelievable. There is a hardcover version of the book out. This is a nice coffee table book.
I wouldn't put it on the coffee table. People put their cups of coffee on.
Yeah, probably.
That goes up into the locked cabinet.
Well, it's in. Yeah, that's where I got.
You want to see that? Here's gloves. Give me $5. Now you can look at it. Time's up. Give me the book back.
That's I got the big Cheyenne book.
Mm-hmm.
What, this big, like that thick, and I sit there and this sits on top of it. But yeah,
Should we wrap it up? We're going to wrap it up.
So while we're waiting for the boss to wrap this up,
well, as our express comes into the station, we want to thank you for joining us on our journey through the wonderful world of trains. Chicago Junction is a production of the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network and can be listened to on our podcast. Chicago Junction. This is your announcer, Brian Ballou, and my cohort, Doug Kenyick. Until next month, we journey to Chicago Junction.
You have been listening to Chicago Junction on the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network from the John DeVita Broadcast Center on Wednesday, February the 14th, Valentine's Day, the year 2024. Chicago Junction is produced and directed by John DeVita, and a special thanks to our executive producer, Mr. John Chiconda. This broadcast was pre-recorded on Wednesday, February the 14th, the year 2024. Until next time, friends, please be safe and thanks for listening.